Hi my friends, you are welcome back to Physique Fashion House channel. My name is Fola. We appreciate as many that has been contributing to the growth of this channel by subscribing. And if you are yet to subscribe, do well to subscribe today. Thank you. Today I'll be teaching you how to make a back loop with a flap. So let's go. And here I've come with the pattern drafting for the back cut. This is my shoulder line. From there I measure 16 inches, which is the half length, half back that we are working with. 16 inches. This is our chest line, 7.5, and 9 inches is the bust point. So we need this at the back to create our dart at the back. So, and this is the waistline, 16 inches. So now the first thing I want to do is that I want to, create the dart, and the darts, the waist of the person is the waist circumference of the person is 28 inches. We divide it by 4, give us 7 inches. But before we go into that, let's quickly get the bust span. The bust span of the person is 4 inches. 4 inches. I mark it here. I mark 4 inches down here. Our bust span is 8 inches divided by 2, give us 4 inches. So I connect it. So on the waistline, I just come to the left and to the right with a half inch. So on this line, I just on the bust point, I just come up with a 1 inch. I connect it. So from here, I just connect to the half inch that I come to the left and to the right at the waistline. So now let me just measure the waist. Now the waist circumference we are working with is 28, as I told you earlier. We divide it by 4, give us a 7 inches. So I measure 7 inches on the waistline. I return this 1 inch dart allowance. I return it. Then you get your 1 to 1.5 allowance. And for the bust of the person is 34 inches. We divide that 34 by 4, give us 8.5. So we measure 8.5 here. Then we get our seam allowance of 1.5. Then we connect the bust to the waist. The armhole is properly connected. So the next thing we have to do now is to, for what we are working towards, we are not going to make use of this zipper allowance. I just place it there for basic purpose. We are not making use of it because we are creating a back loop. So the next thing we have to do now is we are going to close this our dart. You can use your adhesive gum to close it if available. If not, you are good to use your office pin to close it. And then for the back, I mean for the bodies we are working with, our bodies is off shoulder. So what I do is now is just on this my armhole line, all I have to do is just to get the midpoint. The midpoint of from here to here we have 6.5, and the midpoint will be 3/4. So I get the midpoint, then I connect it to this end just to get my off shoulder armhole. So from here I just determine how deep I want my back to be. For this we are not going to let the back be too deep. The reason being that is already opening at the center back, so we don't need to deepen it again. So all I will do now is just to connect this to this end. So I just measure what I have here. From up here I have 4 inches, so here I can just measure 4.5. So I just connect it from here. Now I connect it to this end. Don't have anything to do with this zipper allowance. So this is it. This is my pattern. So before I cut out this pattern, for this my neckline, I want to come down a bit more than half here, you know. As I came down, as we are having 4 inches here, and we want to use 5 inches here. I think I prefer 5 inches here. Yeah. Good. So here now I will measure 3 inches in. I'll measure 3 inches. I do the same thing down here. So as I measure 3 inches here, I will take 2.5 down here. So I'll connect it. Yes. So another thing I want to bring to your notice is that this one I'm drawing is we are drawing it for off shoulder. This one is for off shoulder. If you are just drawing it, this is if it is just for bustier or corset, so you are good to, you know, especially the one that is not, I mean the sleeveless one, you are good to get your neckline at the armhole line here. So you can just come down a bit on this chest line. You can just come down like half or 1 inch. Then from this armhole, you just connect it. So that is for like bustier or corset. But this one is for off shoulder, you know, top. So this is it now. I'm good to cut it out now. So the next thing you have to do now is to cut it out on this line. So this is what we are going to be using to cut out our fabric now. I forgot to even tell you at the beginning the material needed for this project. We need our eyelet machine and the eyelet and the rope to fasten your loop. So those are the material needed. So the next thing we want to do now is to cut it out. Use this pattern to cut out our fabric. So this is the material we'll be using for our back, and you can see that the material is full paper stayed. So you have to paper stay even both lining and the fabric, and this is the one I will be using for the flap, and is paper stayed too. The reason for this that you have to paper stay it is so that you'll be able to, your eyelet machine will be you will be able to operate your eyelet machine freely on it without any gallop. So now I want to go ahead and cut out the fabric now. Ensure that your fabric is on fold as you are cutting it. I'm going to fold it this way, then cut it out, then cut another one that will serve as lining. I'm using the same thing. So another thing you can do if you don't want to paper stay everything like this is that your fabric can be stay, the cloth stay. After stay your fabric, ensure that at that point where you are going to use a eyelet machine, ensure that you paper stay that area just like 2 inches by this side. Ensure that you put a paper stay on that area. So let me just cut it now. And as I'll be cutting, I will add half an inch to this side as a seam allowance. Now this is it. I've cut out the fabric that has been properly paper stayed, and the half an inch is added to this side. I cut out the same thing for the lining. So the next thing I will go and do now is just to go and join it together. Let me just show you. So I will just, this is fabric, this is lining. This is the way it's going to, we have 3 inches. We cut out 3 inches here, slantly join it to 2.5, which will become 6 inches here, 5 inches here. Then we just place our fabric this way. We join this up here with a 1/4 inch with top stitch. Then we join this side with a 1/2 inch. This zipper side, we join it with 1/2 inch. We do the same thing to this one. We turn it out and iron it very well. I say you first of all join here the neckline with 1/4 inch, you top stitch, then you iron it very well, then you join this side with 1/2 inch, then you turn it out and iron it properly. So for the 3 inches that we come in here and the 2.5, I told you it becomes 6 inches, 5 inches. So what we do, that is what we are going to use, the measurement we are going to use to create our flap. So what you do is that you just grab another fabric that has been well paper stayed. You fold it into 2, then you measure that, that 6 inches. You had seam allowance of 1 inch. You can add 2 inches to that 6 inches, making 8. So by the time it is unfolded, it will become 4 inches. So you measure 4 inches this way, 4 inches. Then you now measure, we will want the flap to be around the half of this back. This is 11 inches now. So you can make your flap to be like 6 inches from down. So it can be 6 inches or 7 inches. So you can make it 7 inches. So these 4 inches that we fold in now, so we just measure 7 inches. You just measure 7 inches. 7 inches. So I cut it out. This is going to be our flap. So this is going to serve as our flap. It's just going to be place this. I will show you the next thing. Let me go and join this first. So now I've ironed it properly. This is it. I top stitch it here. Here I top stitch. So the next thing we want to do is to create a loop for our eyelets, and to achieve that, what we do is that we measure it. Let's take the measurement at the wrong side here. You mark, first of all, from this point, come in with a 3/4. That is 0.75. So I connect it. So, and another thing I wanted to bring to your notice is that when I was cutting the flap, when I place it on fold at the wrong side, I measure 4 inches up here, measure 4 inches down here. The right one is you measure 4 inches up here, then measure 3.5 down here, then you connect it. So I've adjusted this one. I've deducted the down part with a 1/2 inch. In our bodice, in our back bodice, we came to the, we draw 3 up, then 2.5 down. So that 1/2 inch you have to reduce it, and in the flap too. So that is that. So the next thing is that we want to mark the point at which our loop will be created. So first of all, I mark 1/2 inch, then I begin to mark 1.25. that is 1/4 of an inch, 1/4. So those are the points at which our loop will be created. So this is the eyelets I'll be using. So we are having like a 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 times 2, 16. So we need 16 of this. Then I first of all create hole in my fabric. I'll be using this part of my machine to create hole, just this way. So you just use your scissors. So this is it. One hole has been created. I do it all through those marked. It's because this my eyelet machine is a 2-in-1. So my eyelet machine doesn't have the one to create. You just use your scissors to create your hole in the situation like that. But be careful in cutting the hole so that it won't be too wide. Let me just place the eyelets on some of these things. So to do that, so all you do is to insert your eyelets into the hole that has already been created this way. Yes. Then you now place your eyelet machine. Let the longer mouth be on top, just the way I'm doing. Let it enter that hole. Then press it. Yes, this is it. Then you do the next one. Be reminded that this is the place I used to create hole. Now this is where I'm using to fix my eyelets now. So gently do it, let it set very well, then you press it. You can see. So that's how you will do everything. That is how you do everything, all the hole, because I'm still creating I will still create the remaining hole, but that's the way you do it. You can see how neat it looks. Here we have all the highlight has been fixed, and I have to tack this flap. I tack it to it so that there will be neatness out here. So I use needle and thread to tack the flap to this. This is it. And if you place this one here now, placing it on like leaving like 3/4 inches on the flap, so you will have 6 inches here, then you have 5 inches down here. So the next thing is to insert our rope. So this, don't stitch this to this side, because this side has to be free and open. So get like 4 yards of rope. So I will use this office pin to hold this down to the flap, because normally if you join it to your skirt part, this must have been stitched to the skirt part, so that will help you to hold it down. So that's why I want to use the office pin to hold it down. So mind you, you won't sew down your flap, down part of your flap. Don't sew it to the skirt part. Sew this side to the skirt part, sew this side, but don't sew the flap. So your zipper will be at by your skirt center back. So I want to bond the starting point so that it will be easier for you to insert it in your eyelet. I'm trying to get my 6 inches here. So that's why I'm releasing this rope. Yes, so here we are. Then you just that's how it's going to be inside. So you just tuck in your the flap inside your skirt and the rope. This is it. I don't want to remove this office pin. Your skirt might have hold this down. This is the inner part. Your skirt might have hold this, the down part of this one. Even the side, you will have joined your side, front and back side together. So that one will hold it down. But normally your flap is not supposed to be sewn here. So this is the way it will be. I believe you have enjoyed this video. So give it like it, share with your friends and loved ones, and drop your comments on the comment section, and subscribe to this beautiful channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and don't forget to register with your online corset class that is going on. Thank you.